Hey guys, what if I told you you can do a whole lot of improvement in your whole golf swing by just fixing 3 little things in your takeaway, right? Why is the takeaway such an afterthought for so many amateur golfers like ourselves? Well, it's something that we've been working on. I've been working on it like gruelingly, just trying to get that takeaway just right. And there's some things you can do that you can really get there. And guys, if you're new to the podcast, Mike and I, we're not professionals. We are not teaching pros. We are just 2 guys who love learning this game. And when we learn something new, we like to talk about it here in the hopes that some of you can connect with that and improve your own golf game. So we're going to dive into that in a minute. We're also going to talk about this week's Twitter tap-in, which is another fun one. It's a hypothetical, and you know, we love hypotheticals. We love, as golfers, we like to talk about golf courses. So we're going to talk about that in a moment too. But first, we want to thank this week's sponsor, Titleist. Look, if you're like most golfers, you're looking for more speed, more precision, and more consistency in your golf game. Who is not, right? So the Pro V1 and Pro V1X deliver on this, and they're designed to fit your game regardless of your swing speed or your ability level. They are truly all around golf balls. They are golf balls that are just perform well in all areas of the game. So prove how good you can be. Tee up the new Pro V1 or Pro V1X on your next round. And Mike, we were so fortunate a couple of years ago to get to go to the Titleist ball plant and take a look at how these balls are made.
Yeah, wasn't that so cool?
It was just, it was so enlightening. And what I really liked about it is you realize golf is such a game of inconsistencies. Why introduce more? The amount of thought that they put into making this a very consistent golf ball is astonishing.
Yeah.
To the point that they don't just build the golf ball, they build all the equipment that builds the golf balls. And when you really want to have your consistency, why have that go out the window with an inconsistent golf ball? Check out the Pro V1, the Pro V1X for sure. Mike, this week's Twitter tap-in, another little fun one here. And I don't know what your answer is going to be. I think you know what my answer is going to be.
I know exactly what yours is going to be, but go ahead.
But guys, if you're not already following us on Twitter, make sure you follow us at Golficity so you can be part of the Twitter tap-in segment every week, which is where we get your feedback on some fun golf questions. And this week we asked, if you could play only one golf course for the rest of your life, which would it be and why? So, you know mine.
Yeah, before we go down a Kiowa Ocean Course hole.
Exactly. That's my spot. I can talk about it all day long, Mike. Don't get me
bury
started.
him there, by the way. We already,
spread my ashes somewhere on that 18th fairway.
Exactly.
There you go.
You know, this one's hard because my thought was, do I pick a course that I've played and loved, or do I pick a course that I've always wanted to play? And, you know, the ones that jumped out right away were obviously Kings Barnes and St. Andrews, but I think I have to join some of the commenters here in saying Augusta, because Augusta is that, quote, the course. You know, when you ask, what's the course? What is your bucket list? It's always Augusta because it's the one that we're never even going to touch.
Right.
You know, and I think if I'm able to just walk around saying, I get to play Augusta every day of my life, the feeling of it, the brag about it, it's just got the cool factor all around.
Yeah, no doubt. And look, there's going to be some of those kind of hypothetical purists who are going to say, well, why pick a course that's not where you live? Because then you don't get to play any golf.
Oh, yeah, I'm moving.
Right? We're moving. You get that everyday access to Augusta, you move to Georgia. But yeah, look, I think also, like, being smart about it, sure, like there's different courses, but you might want to pick one that's not too hard. Why get beat up every day? All of us, I mean, as golfers, we love to play those hard courses once in a while and just get beat up. Go play Bethpage Black and just know it's going to be a long day, but it's just like respect for that course.
Right. And in this situation, get beat even less and less each time. Like almost like pick Augusta and go out, and eventually, maybe it takes a year, maybe it takes 5 years, but then just start to conquer it.
Yeah.
Start to understand it, start to know how it works, and then that's your home course you're playing every day. You're going to be pretty damn good.
You do get to know it, that's for sure. But like I said, my pick would be the Ocean Course. It's just a special place for me. Loved it. I'd play there every day of my life if I could.
Yeah, I know you would. And real quick, if you had to pick one around here without moving, I think I'd probably pick I really love Baltusrol, and it's hard to. I'd stack that with Sleepy Hollow, 2 courses that we've played that I just love so much, with so much character, and they're just beautiful.
Yeah, Sleepy Hollow. Other one for me would be Hudson National.
Yeah, it was gorgeous.
Just an absolutely beautiful course. Beautiful course. Or where we just saw the U.S. Open, Wingfoot. That's a place you play every day.
Well,
Wow.
for the right amount of money, Frank.
For the right amount of money.
You can play Wing Foot every day.
Yeah, and that's not in my reach.
Exactly.
All right,
So
let's take a look at some of the different responses here, Mike. What do you say?
I like to start right at the top. Ryan Donovan, love to play Liberty National over and over again. Nothing beats looking over the Hudson River and seeing Lower Manhattan. Love that.
Yeah,
love that.
You can't argue with that. Kyle can't pronounce his last name. I butcher these names.
Yeah, just try it.
Whatever. Sorry, Kyle. Kyle says
Schwerte.
Schwerte. I actually kind of like that.
Schwerte.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Kyle Schwerte. All right. He says Pebble. Well, because it's Pebble. Good point. Here's a smart move. Ed Mount says The Loop. You get 2 courses in one.
Aha.
It's true. If anybody's ever seen The Loop, it's a course that you can play in both directions, which interesting little fact too. You know, the old course at St. Andrews is designed to play in both directions.
That's right.
In fact, if you go out there and play, and if you get a good caddy who knows the knowledge, he'll tell you why, because you'll see some bunkers. It'd be like, why is that bunker in outer space?
Yeah, why is that behind the green?
It's 30 yards behind the green. What's the point here? It's because they can play in the other direction, and they still do. Once a year, they have a tournament over there where they play it in the other direction. But the course was designed to be played in both directions.
Timmy T says the River Road Golf Course in London, Ontario. My best friend died a few years back, and that was and had been our home course since we were kids. Always feels like he's out there with me when I play it. I love hearing that.
Yeah, and I think that's such a good reflection of so many golfers will be like, it doesn't matter if the course is world renowned or whatever, we have got a connection to it.
Exactly.
And it's another part of what I love about golf is that sometimes we can get so connected to the course itself. Wentz Stan says Augusta, he's right there with you. Mark Thompson, we just said the old course. He said the old course St. Andrew, for all the history and all the greats who've played it. Each time I've been there, the hairs stand up on the back of my arms and neck. He says the only course that does it for me. It's a special place, and it is true. When we were out there, it's an indescribable feeling. It's just like you just know what's happened there for the sport we love, and it's just there's too much. You can't put it into words. You just can't. Let's see here. Hunter says Old White at the Greenbrier in the beautiful mountain state of West Virginia.
That's got to be a fun trip.
Greenbrier,
the Greenbrier.
No doubt about it. Another Augusta. Looper says Pinehurst number 2.
Can't wait.
And then Johnny's 93 responded saying, I like number 2, but at times some of the greens are a little gimmicky. He thought, but we don't know. Can't speak of firsthand knowledge yet because unfortunately due to COVID, our Pinehurst trip has been delayed and then delayed again. And now it's rescheduled for the 3rd time for October, and fingers crossed we get down there. Sadly, where we are in New York and New Jersey, there's still travel restrictions coming from certain states. So we were trying to work our way around that and get down there as soon as we can. But lots of good answers. And I appreciate everybody who weighed in on this one. Because it is just so interesting. It's interesting to see such a mix. Don, by the way, Bresnu says Royal County down.
Yeah, we were just talking about that.
Yeah, that's a beauty. But it just shows you how much good golf there is to explore. And as golfers, it's another aspect of the game. It helps promote us getting out there and seeing new places and traveling, because it's not just like there's just one marquee spot where everybody wants to go. There's just so many great ones, and there's so many great places. But luckily, we don't have to worry about this only playing one golf course for the rest of our lives. So get out there, guys. Of course, you love your home course, but explore, try new things. You know, we discovered the other day Skyview, not too far from us, and we were like, why has this never been on our radar? It was a fun course. It was a great course out there. Got a little slow out there, a little backed up, but it was a fun course. And thank you to you guys, because you posted in the comments that we had to try it, and we went out and tried it. It was cool. So that's it. Get out of your comfort zone. You never know what you might discover.
Right.
You know.
Right.
I remember Ronnie, who's from the Inside the Leather podcast. We brought him out to Black Bear, and he's like, how have I not played this? Crystal Springs in New Jersey has so many great courses. Black Bear doesn't always get the look it should.
Yeah.
So get out there, try some new courses. All right, Mike, let's do a word from our sponsors here, and then we're going to talk about that takeaway, what you can do to make that takeaway better, make your whole swing better from it.
Yeah, so this episode brought to you by ShotScope, the all-in-one GPS and stat tracking watch. Super hot. It's sold out, but you can pre-order. It's coming next month in October. Get on it. I mean, if you're new to the show, the ShotScope Golf Watch offers players laser-like GPS stat tracking so you can improve and, I think more importantly, enjoy the game.
Yeah.
You know, you'll be rewarded with loads of stats on your golf game. You can find out your strengths, weaknesses. You can even look back on some of those pretty cool shots that you stuck to 1 or 2 feet. You can brag about those, post them on social media if it makes you feel good. Visit shotscope.com/golficity. Order yourself arguably the best GPS watch that you can buy.
And one of the questions so many of you ask, they ask us, how accurate is it, guys? You know, that's the one thing you want to know. And I'm telling you, then they say that laser-like accuracy, it really is. I haven't carried a rangefinder for the last 2 years.
Yeah.
I mean, there's still a time and a place for a rangefinder shooting certain distances, but right on the watch, you got your front, back, middle, and you also have all your hazards right there. I've noticed they've been incredibly accurate, whether it's comparing it against a rangefinder or just looking down at the official yardages. I've almost never seen it off.
Yeah.
You know, and that has given me that comfort that knowing I can rely on it. I glance down at my wrist. I've got my yardage. I go. I don't second guess it.
It's always good to have
there you go.
good yardage, right?
Yes, you got to have it.
You know, it's pretty important. And also big thanks to Footjoy, always keeping us looking sharp, feeling loose, keeping us warm, and of course, keeping us dry. Guys, I want to talk about this new Hydro Tour jacket from Footjoy. It's storm proven. It's built to protect you from the most extreme weather conditions. It's got a 3-panel construction. It reduces bulk. It improves mobility. And you can maximize that waterproof protection, not to mention they're stylish, 100% waterproof. You could fold it down, stuff it in your golf bag, and the rain is going to be out there, guys. You know,
it's
the fall. We're going to play through it, so you want to keep yourself dry. Go gear up. Learn more at footjoy.com.
No doubt. All right, let's talk a little bit about the takeaway. And I will admit, again, speaking from the experience of being in the shoes of an amateur golfer, because that is what I am, struggling with the game, right? I had not given my takeaway much of a thought. It was an afterthought for me. What do we think when we think golf? We think moment of impact, right? Impact. Where's my impact position? Yes, that's so important. But how do you get there, right? And it starts with a good takeaway. And as we'll talk about as we dissect this, you realize what a bad takeaway will lead to. So sometimes a good takeaway, it goes unnoticed because it just sets you up right and you end up making a good shot. But when you have a bad takeaway, that's often where the symptoms start to look and you start to see that. So yes, impact, super important piece of the puzzle. Great tip that we got from Brad Worthington when we did a playing lesson with the other day. He said, the ball is your best teacher. We all love the high-tech stuff, the TrackMan and stuff like that. The ball is your best teacher. Watch your ball flight, and you'll be able to dissect from that really quickly. Club path, club face, things like that. But the takeaway, once that takeaway begins, there's really no turning back. That has started that momentum of the swing, and it's going to either set you up for success or set you up for failure. So it's a very controllable thing. It's not moving as quick as impact is. So it's a spot where you, on any level golfer, can start to set yourself up for more success by doing it properly. So let's first talk about what are some of the most common takeaway problems. And one thing I'll say, Riley Hamill, who is in the Facebook group. He's also a writer on Golficity. He's PGA instructor. He's done an incredible job with his swing breakdown that he does for a lot of the people in the group. He's done some work for me, and working with him, I'm realizing how often it is that the takeaway is a problem. It really is, and sometimes you don't think it's a problem, but it is part of that common thing. And he's even done some breakdowns of the PGA Tour pros to show you what they're doing right. And you look at a guy like Justin Thomas, who's a perfect takeaway. You start to realize the difference between them and you and where you can improve. But one big one, and this happens so often, again, it's something that brand new golfers very often do. You hand your kid a club or somebody who hasn't played before, and the first thing they're going to do is get too handsy. So a big one is just too much hand action right in the beginning. And it's a problem for a couple of reasons. First, it's going to move that club out of position, usually too far inside of the path. It's a very natural tendency as we start to bring that club back, if we do it with our hands, to try to bring it too far inside. So what that's going to do, and this will give you an idea right off the bat of how much takeaway matters. Think about it like this. If you take that club way too far inside, going back, now you've jammed yourself up, right? the chances of making that nice inside out swing that we all want are very slim. And it's counterintuitive. There's so many counterintuitives in golf, right? You hit down to make the ball go up, stuff like that. You think, well, I want to come in from the inside and hit out. So I'll start bringing that club back way inside and I'll be in that position. All I got to do is bring it back. Well, what often happens is subconsciously, as we bring that club back too far inside, we're jammed up and we do this over the top move because now our body feels like, whoa, we're too far inside to get to that ball. And instead of just coming right back and you think you're setting yourself on this nice inside plane, you end up doing the opposite of what you want and you come out and over the top because you're jammed up inside. And a big part of that can happen when you bring it back with the hands. And another thing too is, and this is something, Mike, how much do we work on this? Because we struggle with it. Tempo, right? If you take it away with your hands, there's a very good chance you're doing a different tempo than where you should be. A nice, proper, smooth tempo, what we're going to talk about in a moment, is taking that club back with the turn rather than with the hands. And there's also a level of disconnecting. There's a lot of things wrong with doing it this way. Another one is disconnecting. Now you get those hands moving, the club is moving faster than you're rotating back, and it can be really tough to recover from that. So that's a big one. Another one, we talk about this, you see this on every YouTube instructional channel has got a thing on how to not sway or slide, body slide. Very often you'll see this where if your takeaway is including a slide, let's say you're a righty golfer and you're sliding to the right, that's going to put you in a tough position to recover from, to get back and impact. So yes, we want to rotate, but we don't want to slide. It's really a disaster when it comes to balance. And it can be all different levels of everything we're talking about here. It can be the very obvious, like big slidey sway. I'm trying to get not too far from my microphone, but like one of these that you got to recover from, or it can just be a little bit of a one. But any type of slide that you introduce is going to require more timing to get back to the ball.
Yeah, and it's not going to happen. You're not going to get back. Maybe 1 out of every 10 times.
Right. And then you say, why is 1 out of every 10 of my shots good?
Yeah.
Well, because you relied on your timing, you got there. But that slides and you want to avoid. So one thing you can do, a quick drill, I've seen this done a lot of times and it is effective. Sometimes some of the most effective training aids are the simplest and the cheapest, which is a good thing because golf can get expensive. So take those wins where we can.
Right.
But an alignment stick. Stick that alignment stick down in the ground where it's touching, or it's just maybe an inch off of your right hip for a righty golfer, and take your swing and see, are you now, as you go back, are you pushing into that alignment stick? Simple. And you can video it to see. And if you are, you're swaying. So you should rotate that right hip should come back, not to the right. So keep an eye on that in your takeaway. Make sure you're not sliding. Another one will be rushing things. And this is one of those tricky targets because it's a moving target. Sometimes we make a nice, smooth, tempoed swing some of the time, where other times we're rushing and we rush that back swing. And when does it happen? When you're stressed, and we talk about introducing stress into your practice, pressure. When you're in a more pressure situation, you just kind of like subconsciously want to get the shot over with. You're already facing a blow-up hole or whatever it may be, and now you rush it. So remember, that takeaway can really help set the tempo for your swing. So if you rush that, there's a very good chance that you're going to be rushing the rest of your swing. If you rush the first couple of moments, mark my words, you're going to be rushing that whole swing.
It's weird. For me, a lot of people will give me instant feedback on the tee box, and they'll say, right when you got to the top of your swing, you sped up by like 400 miles an hour. Takeaway was really slow.
Yeah.
I just swung right through. So there's got to be a way to keep it slow all the way through. And that's been the biggest challenge that I've faced in this game.
Well, I think also sometimes slow is deceiving. Like you look at these guys like Fred Couples, right? It looks like he's swinging so slow because he's butter, right? But in reality, where things start to look quick, it's often acceleration more than it is overall swing speed.
Yeah.
A really smooth looking swing is going to be one that accelerates throughout, steadily and throughout. When you look like you're quick, it means if you're rushing anything, you're rushing the transition.
Should the takeaway speed and the follow through speed be the same?
No, because look at Matsuyama.
That's right.
Hideki Matsuyama, because a nice slow takeaway stops at the top.
And then just rips through.
And then rips through. But if you notice, every good golfer, what happens is that transition, that moment is not a jerky, fast thing. They're not trying to get all their swing speed immediately. A good golf swing will go to the top, no matter whatever speed. You can set that pace with a nice slow, takeaway. But then what you want to do is transition smoothly. And that's what gives that appearance of slow. It's actually smooth.
Yeah.
And then let your hips turn and your body turn and let that club start to build its speed slowly and reliably. And then let that lag be that last moment when all the speed, a good, pro who hits the ball a long way, they're building their speed all the way through and then maximizing their most swing speed they're getting is, at impact or after. Mm-hmm. After impact. If you look at an amateur who's wasting some swing speed, oftentimes they'll reach their max swing speed before they get down to the ball. And it's because of that fast transition. So if you can bring it away, kind of like a nice even tempo, it'll set yourself up for transition nice and smooth, and then build speed and go down through.
Yeah, it makes sense.
So that I think that's a big part of where it comes. So yes, keep your individuality. Some people might have a faster tempo. Consistent is the key. Mm-hmm. Some people may have a pause, some people whatever. But if you can stay consistent, that's what's really going to help. So that's a big one. Try not to rush things because you're setting yourself up for a rush all the way through. Now, understand the goal. What are you really trying to do with your takeaway? It's actually pretty simple. The first goal of the takeaway is to move that ball back. Move that club back and away from the ball on the right path. Because remember, if you get off path with your takeaway, there's a good chance you're going to be off path on your swing, you're down, swing through the ball because your body has to do something to recover. So if you take it away too far outside, you got to do something to bring it back. Or if you take it away too far inside, you got to bring it back. And that's where you can end up with the opposite of the swing you want to have. The second important part of the takeaway is to initiate that shoulder turn that will take you the rest of the way through the backswing. So that shoulder turn, I think, is the key point that we want to focus on here. Swing that club straight back, keep things, on plane. And a good thing you can do is you can watch your swing in slow motion. This is what I've been doing, working with Riley on it. And as you watch that club face, it should stay fairly square to the ball all the way up until it gets to about waist high. So another thing that we see when you're too handsy is you start to open that face up really quick, right? Mm-hmm. I've been working on this a lot where I slowly take that club back, and that club face is staying square to the ball. So now it's feeling like it's moving down, but it's actually staying square to the ball almost a halfway. And then it starts to open up so I can rotate and turn my arms and body. But keep that in mind. You want to start moving that as one piece. So we do this a lot in putting. We talk about the pendulum and moving everything together. Now, obviously, there's a lot more movements in a swing versus a putt. But if you can focus on one simple thing, and that's just starting your takeaway with your rotation more than your hands. Mm-hmm. So let your shoulders rotate and let that bring that club and that your arms back more so than hands start it. The hands shouldn't start that motion. The shoulders should start that motion. And it's really important to be able to bring that back as smooth as possible. So to make a good backswing, no matter how you slice it, you got to make a great shoulder turn. And it's common, it's common for players to use only their hands, like I said, in the arms, but focus on that shoulders. Even if it's a great thing to practice at home, we always talk about it's hard to get to the range sometimes, but you can just work on that motion. Just work on the feel that it feels like to start that swing with making the shoulder turn that brings everything back, and it can really help. So let's say you do get out to the range. What's a great drill you can do? I'm sure you guys have seen this drill before. It's a common drill, and you may have even seen it just scrolling through your Instagram feed. But a simple takeaway practice drill basically starts like this. And you can do this hitting a ball or not hitting a ball. So you can do this in your living room as long as you have enough room to take a club back. But what you do is just find a place where you can take some practice swings, grab one of your mid irons, 7-iron, something like that. And what you want to do is place the ball instead of in front of the club face like you normally would when you're going to hit the ball, place that ball just behind the club face. And then as you start your swing, what you want to do is attempt to roll that ball back on an extension of the target line. So as you place that ball down, it's sitting behind your club head. You're going to use those shoulders to turn that, and you're going to not using your hand, so it's not opening that club face or anything like that. Just on your takeaway, the ball should roll back straight in line with your ultimate target line. If you notice that ball is starting to roll way down to inside for a righty to the right, most likely you're using your hands and you're getting too inside too quick.
Makes sense, yep.
Now, what I like to do is then add in, like take a couple of practice like that and then add in a ball both in front and behind. So now to go through to a full swing. So set up the ball in front of the club face and behind. Do your takeaway where you get that ball rolling back straight on the target line. Then go through right to completing your swing and see if your swing is more on target. So it'll tell you if you're starting on that target line going back, you should be able to come through it coming through.
Such an easy drill.
It's an easy drill, and it just really gives you that visual showing that you came back. Because I'm telling you, if you come back too inside or too outside, that ball is not going to roll back straight on the target line. It's going to roll either to the right or to the left of the target line. That's going to tell you which way you're taking it away. So it's a great drill to do. It's an easy drill to do. Next time you're on the range, try this. Just have that one ball rolling back before you hit. And really the goal here is to get you taking that nice, quiet, controlled takeaway as that club moves back on the target line. And if other things, the symptoms you'll see is if that ball is just kind of like flying away too fast, if you realize you're taking it away too fast, again, smooth, consistent, all those things will be evidenced just by what that ball tells you. So that's really important. And given that importance to the takeaway, one thing you can do, I think I see you do this, right, Mike, where you include some sort of feedback in your pre-shot routine.
What do you mean?
Where like you're doing a small takeaway practice. Yes. So we've even seen this at the top level. Ricky Fowler's the one you see doing it all the time, but I've seen a lot of guys doing this. We talk about your pre-shot routine can be something that can add consistency and set you up for success. Well, what you can do is in your pre-shot routine, put something that simulates that takeaway.
Right.
It might just be right before you swing as part of your practice, swings. Just do one takeaway straight back with your shoulder so you get that feel, and then come back to address the ball and then go.
Right. I don't know if it's JT, but someone else, I don't know if it's Xander. Somebody does that, and then they also take it through the ball. So they practice takeaway, and then they go a little bit forward just to maybe practice, I guess, the impact position of their wrist or something. I think you started doing that.
I do it now. Yeah. Ever since working with Brad Worthington, my last thing that I do, it's not quite like a Matt Wolf thing.
Right.
But I will do a short abbreviated simulated follow through at the impact position in the shaft lean that I want. And that'll be the last thing I think of, and then I'll go. But if right now what you're struggling with is the takeaway, you can do that. Take a couple practice swings, and the last thing you do, simulate your takeaway, and then go, and then do it. And then this way, you've got the feel for what it should feel like, and then you just execute. It's a quick reminder of what it should feel like. I can't tell you how valuable that is if you find that you are taking it away too much with the wrists and hands. Just feel that first move of taking that club back straight on the target line with the shoulders, and then set, and then do it again and go. Yeah. It can really help.
Yeah, easy enough.
Obviously when you do that, you don't want to improve your lie or accidentally hit the ball or things like that. Just be aware of it. But it's a good thing that you can kind of throw in there and throw in the mix. But this one is good. And like I said, I think if nothing else, just discussing it here is important because it's so overlooked. And I speak from experience because I overlooked it too for a long time, the importance of the takeaway. You're thinking so much of the transition, you're thinking so much of the impact position that you end up not thinking about those crucial very first moments of the swing. And it's just like we talk about the importance of setup. All these things will set you up to put you in the right position to make a good swing.
Yeah.
It's not going to guarantee it. There's other things, as you highlighted, transition's important, swing path's important, face angle's important, but all those things become harder to do if you get yourself out of position going back at the start.
Yeah, that makes total sense.
Yeah. So hopefully these tips helped you guys. If they did, let us know. If they didn't, let us know. Maybe you got a tip of your own that you can add to this. Drop it in the comments, post them in our Facebook group. As we said at the very beginning of the show, we are not professionals. We're guys who are learning the game. When we learn something, it excites us. And when it excites us, we bring it here on the show to talk about it, to hopefully you guys can connect with it and it'll help you as well. So if you've got something that we can all learn from, let us know. Jump in the conversation. We want to hear it. All right. You guys get to the show notes of everything we talked about today by going to golficity.com/episode 342, or as always in the Golficity app, which is free for Android and iOS. And if you haven't done so yet, take a second, leave us a quick review wherever you listen to your podcasts, whether it's iTunes, Spotify, whatever it may be. Those reviews, not only do they help us really grow the show, they help us improve because we're able to find out what it is that you guys are liking about the show and what we can do more of. And we appreciate and read each one of them. So thank you for that. All right, guys, we'll see everybody again next week.